Hello, you beautiful beings. We are Uncut once again. I've been thinking so much about what I can offer to you that will help you, all of you, of so many various backgrounds. And we are here on the precipice of one of the most intense astrological weeks of the year. We're having a lot of very interesting, challenging, possibly distressing things going on in the world. So I thought today was a really good day to talk about mental health and some tools that I use to help maintain the best mental health that I can. Now, I'm going to be talking a lot about specific things that I do. I actually went on this amazing, wonderful walk a couple days ago, and I just kind of let the ideas kind of come to me, and I just started to think, what is it that I'm doing that's helping me to maintain a positive mindset and stay mentally balanced? And I just realized, wow, actually, I do a lot of things. Like, a lot of things are really built in. I'm going to tell you today what I do, but what I really want to instill within you is a mindset of paying attention to the things that contribute to your mental well-being and doing more of those things, but just as important, paying attention to the things that detract from your mental well-being, and as much as possible removing or minimizing those things from your life, because what we take out is as important as what we put in. And cultivating mental wellness is very important, especially in weeks like this, seasons like this, years like this, but always throughout human history, there's been things going on. It's part of this planet, at least so far. Like, it's part of Earth and the experience of Earth incarnation, but it is possible in all but the very, very most extreme circumstances, like where our life is immediately at risk, it is possible to maintain a good degree of mental wellness, even in the face of some of these things. Okay, I digress. I have to remind myself sometimes we are uncut. However, last time, for those of you that watch every video, last time you'll know, we're not entirely uncut because eventually the camera cuts off. And I lost like many minutes of the last video for talking too long. Okay, so in no specific order. When I wake up in the morning, I start the day off with some kind of thanks. Right now where I live, it's been sunny most mornings, so I feel the sunlight. It's summer and the sun rises at like 5 a.m. So often I feel the sunlight and I'm just, thank you. Thank you, God, source, the universe, the guides, and the angels. Thank you for this day. Thank you for the promise of another day. Thank you for another opportunity to wake up in this body, here and now. It won't be forever, you know. We each have our moment where we go back to the other side. And as crazy as it is when we're here, like when we're back on the other side, a lot of times we miss the earth experience. Now, I do have a strange mystery illness, and I do wake up in a lot of pain sometimes, or feeling sick, or just not feeling my best. So something that contributes to my mental health, or sometimes even just because not everyone can identify with that, kind of struggle, but what you can identify with is waking up on the wrong side of the bed sometimes, or like it's just bad juju or bad energy when you wake up. So that does happen, like every week. That usually happens like at least once. And I remind myself, this helps my mental health, you've been through this before. You've been through this before. And I remind myself too, like, a lot of times you turn this around. And that's totally true. Like, a lot of times I wake up, I'm in pain, or I don't feel good, and then like later in the afternoon I feel great. So like, I remind myself, if I don't feel good when I first wake up, that's okay. There's tons and tons of examples of days where you didn't feel good when you first opened your eyes and the day still turned out really good. So like, don't give up on this day. Oh my gosh, so this is just how I do it, but I think something like this is really key for mental health. So I keep a calendar. I keep multiple actually, but I keep a Google Calendar primarily. Now, as a highly sensitive person, I do not find it beneficial to constantly have alerts going off telling me you've got 10 minutes until this or that. So I just ignore the time function altogether. But I do keep a Google Calendar, and it does keep me organized. I schedule everything as a full day event. There's like a little checkbox where you can check all day. I put everything that I want to do that day as an all-day event. Okay, now sometimes, occasionally, there is a specific time, and I'll just write the time. So rather than scheduling it at a specific time, like if it's an appointment at 2:30 or something, I just write 2:30 and then schedule it as an all-day event. The reason I say that is because that helps my mental health. Before, when I used to make the little boxes during the times of day, it detracted from my mental health because I'd get stressed. It would pull me out of the present moment. Like I was present with a client or something and I'm seeing 30 minutes and then it's a new client. No, thank you. So anyway, I put like everything I want to do on the calendar. So for example, I mostly do meal prep. So I don't know if you guys are like that, but I do a lot of like meal prep, but I don't do it all. Maybe this is a mental health thing. Hadn't thought of it like that. I don't do it all at once. So like I have specific different things like, oh, this is the day where I meal prep these veggies, and this is the day where I spread it out a little each day. So I'll put stuff like that, like, oh, today I'm gonna make the yams. For example, that's something I often make, Japanese sweet potato. So delicious. So I'll put things like that, or like, oh, I think, and I'll put things in advance, like, oh, I think it's gonna be about time to vacuum again. So like I'm writing mundane things here like that, or sharing mundane things that you can relate to, but I just put anything, big or small, calls I'm gonna make, anything I intend to do that day. With all day events and with a Google Calendar, like it's beneficial because I can switch things around. So I give myself grace. So I wake up, I don't actually have energy to make that call that day, move it to the next day or whatever. But the mental health piece is not the calendar itself, okay? Because you could do this on a piece of paper, you could do it on your phone. It is that when I do the task, I put in the green check mark emoji. I feel for most people, most of the time, it will contribute to your mental health if you give yourself credit for what you do. A lot of us are mean to ourselves in our own mind, and we do a lot in a day, but we're not mindful when it's explicit what you're doing. Like, not only does it get, like, for me, I can feel like dopamine. Like, I can feel that. There's many things that give me that feeling, but like, I mean, you can feel it. Like when and some people use stickers, you could use the happy face emoji, like you did it, whatever, you did it, you swept the floor, or you filled out that piece of paperwork, or I do this even, like there's family members I like talking to, and then there's family members that like, it can be harder to talk to, like, okay, you touch base with that person, like, you happy face, you know what I'm saying? I don't know, it helps. Like this helps my mental wellness a lot. And then I take a moment, like at the end of the day, and I look at all the check marks. And usually I finish everything. Like usually if it makes it on the calendar, I do it. And that's a good feeling. But even if I changed it to another day, like before I sit down and eat dinner at night, I always take a moment and I always look at, okay, even if it was a hard day, you still did this and this. And that helps me a lot. It also is of use, like for me with Google Calendar, sometimes I feel like I haven't come very far in life, or like I'm not progressing, but I can actually now look back at like years ago what I was doing, and I can see how what I'm doing now is like more efficient, or that I'm doing more, or what I am doing is more valuable, or things like that. So that's been really beneficial. Been really, really beneficial. Now I'm looking at these notes and I don't remember what they all mean. So we'll skip that. Oh my gosh, I made a note that says saving favorite content. Well, I guess like what I mean by this is like, I don't know what I meant when I wrote it now, but like what comes to mind is like if I think there's something that's gonna interest me, like I will favorite it or add it to a playlist or something like that, and then I refine those like pretty often. And the reason this helps my mental health is because when I'm reaching for like entertainment instead of just taking in whatever Google has in mind for me, which, to be honest, these big corporations and media companies, I don't think they have our best mental health interests in mind, to be honest. Okay, so like if I have some prearranged favorite content, then I'm selecting from that. That contributes to my mental health, for sure. This is really, again, so I identify as a highly sensitive person. In case you stumbled upon this, I'm a professional psychic. And yeah, I've got definitely a high degree of empathy and other gifts and abilities. So for me, having wind down time at night, and I start early. So it depends on time of year, but I can fall asleep like often between 9 and 11 at night, depending on the time of year. And I will start winding down 4 or 5 in the afternoon. Because the truth of the matter is, for me, life and other people are super, super stimulating. And I enjoy that, but it can take me a lot to process everything I've taken in visually, all the sounds, all the sights, and everything of the day. It can take a lot for me to process that at the end of the day. So people will know, some of you will know, like some of my clients watch these videos. You know, if you send me messages about work together, stuff like that, it's 5 in the afternoon. Chances are I'm gonna reply back and say, I'll get back with you tomorrow. As someone who runs my own business, and anybody who does that, you know, work never stops. It won't, I mean, that's the hope. Okay, so like you don't want it to stop, right? Like you want people to keep coming for sure, but like the chances are, like they are gonna keep coming. And so the only way, and this is true now, I think, for everyone, like we're all connected, like social media messages are not gonna stop. Notifications are not gonna stop. Texts are not gonna stop. So if you need a pause, you have to put, for your mental health, you need to be strict with your boundaries of when that pause happens. So that can be different for everyone, but for me, yeah, I frankly, I need about 4 hours of wind down time. Now, sometimes there are specific people that are quiet in their energy that I can connect with during that period or things like that. But I'm consciously, like, especially if the sun is going down, I am winding down no matter what. Even if it's winter and it's like 4 o'clock, but very much wind down time in the evenings. And I'm not, the most important thing is not, for me, not engaging with business. So when I finish my day's work, that I close the business inbox, that's it, no more. And every time I break this rule and like I'm curious, oh, did this person get back with me, or let me look at that client's stuff, I don't sleep, or I don't sleep well that night. So like clear wind down time and a clear wind down routine at night. I have a whole ritual around that, and it really, really helps me. Yeah, so for me, I start the wind down time, and then I close the curtains and shades and stuff when that starts. Then I eat dinner really consciously. Then I take a shower. Then I read books. Then I sleep. And so I kind of like, when I eat, a lot of times I do watch something, but I definitely am not watching anything super engaging. Okay, I'm watching entertainment, things that are not gonna activate my nervous system. And so I just go down, wind down, wind down, wind down. And then finally, like before bed, I read, I read with a headlamp. I would use a candle, but I'm allergic to everything. And currently I can't find a single, not even the most natural version of any candle that I can light. So I use a red headlamp, and the red is less stimulating, and I read, and then I go to bed. But it doesn't need to be that for you, but like consciously having some time periods during the day where it's very calming for the nervous system. That probably will help your mental health. Oh my God, I have so many more, and we're gonna run out of time. Okay. Tracking my steps. Again, like I feel for mental health, we need to feel like we're accomplishing something. Like I really, really do think that's true for almost everyone. And there's also a lot of evidence that walking and moving our body directly improves symptoms of anxiety and depression and serious mental health issues that a lot of people are struggling with. As a matter of fact, as some of you know, I'm part of various medical studies. One sub-study of a larger study I'm a part of had us all wear step counters for like 3 years. Like I think I got mine in the mail in like 2020 and the results just came out. And they basically showed that the cutoff for depression, like if you don't want to experience depression, is 8,200 steps. And I don't know, I didn't know they were looking at depression. I mean, I kind of did because like they would interview us about depression, but they also interviewed us about a bunch of other things and took our blood and all this stuff while tracking our steps. So it wasn't entirely clear what was happening. But anyway, that's a very interesting number to me. And because like I used to, on average, like I felt it was good for my mental health not to pressure myself that much, especially knowing I'm wearing a step counter, I'm participating in research, just be natural. And like my natural amount of steps per day was like 6,000. But then I started to just notice on days I got more, like I slept better, I felt better. And so I kind of upped, like, you know, I started to make goals in my head and I noticed like really positive mental health effects of that. Around the 8,000 mark. For me personally, I noticed it above 7,700, but I'm also like very small. A lot of people can't tell that from YouTube, I don't think. But yeah, like I'm pretty short and stuff. So sometimes the step counters don't like I'm taking a lot more steps than what they're thinking. Yeah, that's definitely been the case. But anyway, blah, 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 blah. Tracking my steps helps tremendously with mental health. And to be able to even see that, it gives me this like sense that I think we all need of like being challenged. And a lot of times like it gets me out like a lot more. So as someone who works from home, self-employed, I don't have to leave the house at all if I don't want to. Some days, right? So, I mean, like sometimes I'll look at the step counter and I'll look at it at, you know, and before I'm about to start my wind down routine and it's like, well, if I have a goal, like I change the goal every week based on compassion for myself and like what seems right for the week. But it's like, okay, this week my goal is 9,000 steps a day. And right now I'm at 7,900. And like, if I did not have the goal, I would not go out again. But then I'll go out again and like, I'll see the sunset and I'll see like the animals coming in from the pasture and just like, yes, this happens now. Like where I live, the animals come in the evenings and like it helps my mental health so much. It gets me out. I've been really into like this concept of exercise snacks, like these little bits of movement spread throughout the day, and that helps mental health for sure. For sure. We've got to keep going. I always take at least one supportive supplement or herb for my mental health. Now, this has changed a lot over time. I think it should change because these things lose effectiveness and they're not always safe for long-term use. So switching things up. It's possible some element of this is placebo effect, but there's a lot of clinical data to support a lot of things that are beneficial because like, for example, sometimes my supplement is magnesium or vitamin D or like vitamin B complex. Like these are pretty well researched and known, but sometimes it's been GABA or glycine or lemon balm or different things. I always have something that I'm taking. I'm always taking it consciously. I'm always taking it at the same time of day. And I'm always taking it with the intention of improving my mental health. There were times before I would take a whole conglomerate of things. Through various means, I discovered that only one thing is needed. Like, okay, that's like through my minimalist journey. But anyway, and not to say only one thing is needed for you. Like, do what works for you. But for me, one thing consciously has been really beneficial. Something that really, really helps my mental health, this is small, but it's extremely high impact, is only keeping clothes that I feel comfortable in and I feel my best in. Something that has always detracted from my mental health is holding on to stuff I think I should be wearing, or one day if my body changes in one direction or another is going to be good for me. Keeping only the things I really wear and feel comfortable in has helped my mental health so much. Likewise, right now I'm looking at it. I have a full-length mirror and I keep it turned around 99% of the time, meaning I see the back of it. And I only turn it around if I want to see myself and I want to look at my outfit. Because like we are taught to be so critical of the way we look, especially women. And I realized it was detracting from my mental health to see myself all the time, especially like the moment I rolled out of bed. Something I do to help myself sleep, this is like really random, but it works super well, is wear a hat. This used to be a thing. People called it nightcap. Okay, it totally works. But like when I take that hat off in the morning to see myself when I don't want to, like that affects my self-image negatively. Okay, are we gonna be okay with battery? Okay, so consciously choosing when I see myself in the mirror, having it not be an accident, and not spending a ton of time and analyzing how I look, but also only keeping things that I feel comfortable in, both in how I look and how they feel, and getting rid of other things. And that's so hard. By the way, I'm not saying that's easy. The getting rid of part, especially stuff people give me as gifts, things I think I should like, things that were expensive, all of this kind of stuff. But fundamentally, if I don't feel good in it, it's not gonna help my mental health. So I get rid of it. Like, okay. Okay. Something that has really helped my mental health is human design. That's why I've been sharing about it on the channel, but specifically as a generator. So if you're a generator or a manifesting generator, you're a generator type. But I think for all of us, like asking the question, do I have energy for this? And the more I can honor like throughout the day what I have energy for, and generally asking the question, do I have energy for this? And I'm saying this out loud so you can hear it, but this is actually a physiological thing. Feeling reactions in my body. Does my body move towards or against this person, experience, task, and going towards like what I feel energy towards, and trusting like if I don't feel energy for this right now and it's causing frustration in me, like it's not gonna help my mental health. But also like just because it's making me feel that way right now doesn't mean I'll always feel that way, and waiting for the moment where my energy matches what needs to be done as much as possible. That's not always possible, but the more I do that, the better mental health I have. And not telling myself stories like, I was raised by parents who were very centered on service, which is good overall, but like, I was definitely raised like, be of service, ignore all your own needs. Like, just, it doesn't matter, nothing about you matters, just be of service. Like, my mom is like the maximal service person in the world, like was a nurse, like growing up, everything. So I love her very much, but just to say, like, it's been a process of like deconditioning, as they call it in human design, learning to honor my signals and like making it okay, for example, not to get back to someone right away and stuff because I don't have energy. 23 minutes. Okay, cool. Oh, okay. Consciously choosing, observing how content affects me and refining. So like sometimes I'll read a book and it's like my best friend's like, read this book, you're gonna love it, I loved it, and then we can talk about it forever. So I go and I get the book, and like within a couple pages I'm like, okay, the way this is affecting my worldview is not making me a better person. I don't feel more loving, I don't feel more hopeful. And like then I have a moment. And so before I would just keep reading anyway, like, oh, I said I was gonna read this, or like, you know, whatever. No, like now I observe content. Is this content, do I feel less hopeful about life since I started listening to this podcast? Do you know what I mean? Do I feel worse? Okay, I feel worse. Click away. That's been, again, small thing, extremely beneficial for mental health if you do it. Like if you actually click off of stuff that negatively affects you. I try every day to end with a positive balance. In both a material and spiritual sense. So that is part of my life view, like end with a positive balance, meaning like I gave a little bit more love or a little bit more support than I received today. But also in a financial sense, like as a self-employed person, like I spent less than I made every day, usually a lot less, but like that's very good for financial health, and financial health can be a part of mental health. So I try to end every day with a positive balance. part of mental health for me has been acknowledging when a day is a loss. So most every day can be turned around, but there are days that cannot. Okay, it's just to be honest, like in my opinion, at a certain point, sometimes, some days, you really don't feel good. Life is not going your way. It's a bad day. So for me, like acknowledging like, okay, this day is a loss. Tomorrow's a new day. So like sometimes acknowledging midway through the day, I think today's a loss. It probably can't be turned around. Let me just live through the day, live quietly, and I'll set the intention tomorrow will be a good day. And I'll wake up again tomorrow and try.